Hi, welcome to video number 7. We're going to be interviewing Ben Waters on this one. Ben's going to be playing with Derek Nash at Giracle next year. Ben and Derek both have had a huge career playing with a number of high-profile artists. People from Paul McCartney to Rolling Stones to Amy Winehouse. The list goes on and on. But anyway, let's have a talk with Ben. See you soon. Okay, dokes. Here I have Ben Waters. Ben Waters is going to play Giracle along with Derek Nash next year. And we're really looking forward to you and Derek coming along, Ben, to play Giracle.
Hi, Bruce. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to be over there.
Excellent. I just suppose, look, we'll start at the beginning. What got you into piano? Because you're an amazing piano player. You must have a lot of influences, or just started at an early age.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, my parents wanted to watch Fats Domino on TV when I was 14 years old. I never heard of him. We were at home in Dorset, rural Dorset, and there was only 3 channels on the TV. They wanted to watch that, and me and my brother wanted to watch some kids program on the other side. And we didn't really want to watch Fats Domino, and he said, "No, we'll watch it." So anyway, we put it on, and it was live from Storyville in New Orleans, and it was Fats Domino's 60th birthday with Ray Charles and Jerry Lee Lewis.
Oh wow!
And they were chatting to Fats, and Paul Schaefer. He's like the MD for Saturday Night Live and the Blues Brothers and all that. I didn't know that at the time, but he was talking to Fats Domino, and he said, "How do you feel about Ray Charles and Jerry Lee Lewis coming to your birthday party?" And he goes, "Wow, it's amazing. It's great." And he said, "How do you feel?" And he said, "Well, I'll go to the piano and I feel like playing." So he got up and he started off with The Fat Man, which was recorded in 1949 originally. But the second he hit that piano, I was like, "Whoa, I'd never heard anything like this before." It was, it was all the kids were into soft metal and at school, and I hadn't really heard anything that really sort of floated my boat. But as soon as he hit that piano, I was like, "Whoa, this is incredible!" And it just sort of, this huge happy sound came out. Like he was beaming from ear to ear, just playing this piano. It was like he put his arm around the whole audience. It was brilliant. And from that moment, I just fell in love with it and had to start playing.
Oh, right. So are you like self-taught, or did you go?
Yeah, no, self-taught. I had a few lessons with a classical lady called Sheila Bellamy. She lived up the hill from us, and I went there and. She'd get fed up with me, and she said, "Legs together, Benjamin. Sit up straight, Benjamin." And so she told me to do all that. And I was no good at reading music, but I used to copy what she was doing. So I lasted maybe a couple of months with her, and she was lovely. She was a brilliant player and all that, but it just it wasn't what I could do. So I see patterns on the pianos, and that's how I play. I can't read a note of music, and the best way is to watch. I've watched somebody else what they're doing, and I learned a lot from her. I could copy her piano playing the simple stuff at the start, but it was more about fingering, so I didn't run out of fingers when I was doing a run up the piano. So she taught me a lot of that kind of stuff. So she passed away, but I thought the world of her. She was great, and so I learned a lot about piano playing, but I didn't really learn to read music or anything. I do something if I love it. If I love it, I have to go and learn it.
Yeah. I mean, gee, it's classic, because there are a lot of, say guitar players also, that they can't read, music at all, but wow, they can play. It's kind of like, everyone always thinks you have to learn music, and I suppose in some ways it's good for, I don't know, getting session work where someone just says, "Look, here's the chart, read that."
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
I might be completely wrong, and I usually am quite wrong. But the way I see it, it's almost like painting by numbers. That's the way I see it, and you can do a great picture painting by numbers. And I don't want to belittle anyone that reads music, because it's a fantastic skill, but I think it's painting by numbers, and you get what somebody else wanted, but you don't get what you wanted. And I just love the sort of freedom of reading.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's you know, for want of a better analogy, you know, you have the Japanese jazz band, you know, that's absolutely perfect, you know, and that's great, but you know, it should have a bit more feeling in it, you know, and I suppose that's where.
I think so. I met Dr. John once, just very briefly. He didn't play piano or anything, and I just sort of had to ask him something, and I said, "Do you read any music?" And he goes, "Not enough to do any harm."
That's great. So that brings me to, like, you must have played with a lot of famous people, you know, or met a lot, you know, during your career. What? All right, let's hear it.
Well, I think I was very lucky because I was in a very small niche. So saying about not reading music, I'm very limited in what I do. I love boogie woogie, rock and roll, and blues piano. I'm a bit of an old rocker at heart, and so it's a very narrow field. But there's a lot of people in that narrow field that particularly like things like Professor Longhair or Champion Jack Dupre and Fats Domino and stuff like that. So because I'd become so like in love with it, and all I was doing is copying my heroes. But I think like the other people that mutually liked those heroes and were trying to copy them as well, would get me to come and play. The first sort of big break I got was there was a couple really. Three initial ones. I ended up playing with Chris Jagger first of all, who's Mick's younger brother, and you know, he loved Professor Longhair and all those, you know, Little Walter and all those kind of people. So he almost took me under his wing really, because he was like, at the time I was, you know, 14, 15, playing all this blues music, and I don't suppose there was many people of my age who had even, especially in Dorset, had even heard of Professor Longhair. So he was quite impressed that I knew all those kind of people. So, and he would say, "Well, you've got to listen to Ball of Wall. You've got to learn this tune," kind of thing. So we'd end up playing together. And then around the same time, I got a phone call from Shakin' Stevens, and now he was impressed that I knew all the sort of old piano players like Huey Piano Smith and things like that, which I got in through Fats. And then I ended up playing with Rocket 88, which was Ian Stewart's band, and they were impressed because I'd learned all Ian Stewart's music, you know. And stuff. So I was very fortunate that the field that I chose didn't have that many people playing it where I came from. So I ended up playing with quite a lot of bands just from. It wasn't by choice. I just fell in love with this music, and people that mutually loved it as well. So we ended up. It's quite a small world, that sort of boogie blues rock and roll world, you know, and we know each other all, and we're always covering each other's gigs and things. So it's great.
Yeah, we've got a pretty small blues scene here in Australia, which I'm really desperately trying to make bigger, you know, and that it's not easy. It's like, you know, it's huge in the States, so, you know, and the population is so big, you know, so there's blues on every corner almost, or, you know, there's just a lot. You know. Mind
you, I've been to Australia the last 4 or 5 years, and I'm so impressed with all the players out there. Some great people over there, and we came over last year. I've got the T-shirt on. You must be there. Blues at the Briars. I did that, and there were some just great players down there. There's a guy called Jerome that played. He was fantastic. Mind you, I think he's American. And when we come out to Australia, we're playing with Ash Davies. He's one of my favourite drummers. He's just absolutely incredible. His techniques. And when we played at this festival, people lined the stage, all the drummers, just to watch him play drums because he's so phenomenal. And then we got Sweet Felicia on bass. You know Sweet Felicia, didn't you?
Yeah. She's great.
Yeah, she's a great singer, great bass player, just an all-round good egg, you know. So I'm looking forward to coming out and playing with those guys.
Yeah. Well, look, I've got. Let's see if technology I can get it together here. I've got a little clip, you know, from you playing, you know. So I thought it would just show a bit of that, and so people that haven't, you know, heard of you or whatever, you can have a listen. So you a lot of different style, like there's Barrel House. There's all these different. Maybe explain a few of those because I kind of get them. I know Boogie Woogie as such, but isn't there? There's like different.
Well, I think it's all very similar. I personally think, but the Barrel House, the way I understood it, was America was covered in logging camps and had slave workers there working on these logging camps, and they used to build houses out of barrels for them to be entertained in the evening, stop them running away or trying to escape. So they found that if they give them some moonshine liquor and a piano in the corner, they used to actually go into these barrel houses and dance, and so it was like a dance music, early form of rock and roll and swing and blues, you know. So they'd go and be a piano player there, and that's where the phrase barrel house came from. That's the way I understand it. I might have got it wrong.
Yeah.
So, but again, that was all sort of boogie woogie blues and stride piano and all those very early on, you know, because I mean, there's accounts of boogie from the turn of the century, or before then, really, turn of the last century. So, and so, you know, there'd be piano players playing stride piano, which is that's like stride and ragtime, is where the left hand sort of jumps around. So it'll hit a root note, then a chord, then a fifth, then a chord, then a root note, then a chord, and a fifth. That's a very basic, simple thing. So the left hand's jumping from, you know, left to right. That's a very sort of early form of people like Jelly Roll Morton used to do that as in a slightly different style. Scott Joplin and you know, piano players like Toots Washington from New Orleans, they do a lot of that stride piano playing. But the boogie woogie one is a lot simpler. Well, I say it's simpler, it's a different style. The left hand stays pretty much in a similar area. For a lot of boogie woogie, and it plays like an 8 to the bar rhythm, you know. You know, and then the right hand's free to improvise. Saying that, there's a lot of people that do it in very complexly, and there's people that do it really simply, and I think that's the thing that really that's why I got into it. And there's friends of mine like Jules Holland that got into it for the same reason, and he told me that he learned this left hand that goes bum ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da, and he said that that's the first thing he learned. It's the first thing that Ringo Starr learnt before he played drums on the piano. It's the first thing that Sting learnt, and the way I see it is like you can get into it very, very simply and just play. And like anyone, I can teach anyone in 10 minutes to play boogie woogie, and they can do it. And that's a great thing. So like kids can do it, anyone can do it. It's a lot of fun. But then you get somebody like Dr. John or Oscar Peterson, people like that have spent a lifetime perfecting it, and all those little nuances you can never stop learning. So you can take it as far as you want. And Dr. John will do something, and he'll just play a few notes that completely melt you. And you think, and you know, I'm just still trying to learn all those things. I'm still trying to learn some of the things that Fats does. And it's just all those little tiny things that take a lifetime to achieve. But I think just getting on the ladder is just great fun, you know, and just learning. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, it is, isn't it? It's, you know, music, you know, instruments, and they're just it's another language, isn't it? And you can always learn more ways of explaining yourself.
Well, that's why I love that Ian Stewart, the piano player that's formed the Rolling Stones. Brian did. I learned by copying him a lot, because after I watched Fats Domino on TV, my aunt and uncle and my cousin's got a band called PJ Harvey. So this is PJ Harvey's parents, Eva and Ray. They were very good friends with Ian Stewart, who formed the Stones. And after he passed, they had his piano and in his sound system, and they gave him. Stu left them lots of records and cine footage and things like that. So I used to watch and learn. So I wouldn't have been playing if it wasn't for Stu, because as I say, we lived in rural Dorset. We didn't have YouTube, no record shops or anything. But I used to go around to my aunt and uncle's and listen to hours and hours of footage. And some of the stuff I found was Ian Stewart just playing on his own with a piano, with the camera just above his piano, so I could copy him.
Wow!
And he'd just play things, and he was very belittling of himself, but he was just brilliant. But to me, he was like sort of like the equivalent of John Lee Hooker on the piano, you know, because like you couldn't.
I love it.
John, you think like he was just. You wouldn't say John Lee Hooker was like you know, virtuoso, like incredible, the million notes. But what he played just sort of melted the soul. And it's the same with Ian Stewart. And like he just played. things you wouldn't expect to play. He changed your right hand chord before he changed your left hand chord, and it just had this result of like, wow, what did he just do? And I think that's a lot of the Stones sound, you know, that early stuff. It's just he put a lot of soul into that band, as far as I was concerned, you know, and and I think that's what gets me more than anything. It's not so much technical ability; it's just the love of that music, and just certain notes can sort of, you know, just take you somewhere else. Yeah,
yeah. You know, it's like, you know, say B.B. King. You know, he just like one note. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just the tremolo on his hand. Just something about it, and to try and copy it, you know, you can't really, because it's
no, you can't.
Close.
It's just, but I think it's not just the knowledge from it's those thousands and thousands and thousands of gigs. That's what really goes. So it's not just the knowledge of how he plays his guitar and how he sings. It's the knowledge of how he's running the whole band. You know, it's just like he'll know that the bass player needs to change one note and the piano player changes one note, and he'll do this thing. And again, it just sort of, if you get it right, and it's just, oh my God, you know, it's just, so it's all those years and years and years of, it's not by accident he sounds so amazing, B.B. King. It's just, yeah.
No, that's cool. So you know, what can we expect, you know, with you and Derek when you arrive in Australia and you start playing, you know?
Well, it's going to be quite high energy. Well, not very high energy. Derek has to be seen to be believed. He's like, he's just a phenomenal saxophone player. I always believe that people's, that I think their personalities come across in their playing.
Yeah.
And Derek's got boundless energy. He's a super nice guy. He's just, I don't know anyone like him really. Just in life, he's just sort of he just fills a room full of energy, and that's what he's like on the saxophone.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal talent as well. You know, he's played with so many people, from Amy Winehouse, Eric Clapton, and through this mutual friend of ours, Jules Holland. He's done so much with them, and Jules says he's just like one of the best saxophone players he's ever heard. You know.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, very impressed. I've been listening to everything you guys do, and yeah, wow, it's for me, it's chicken skin music, you know. Like,
oh, brilliant! Oh,
yeah, you know, like, just gets me going. And you know, when we you know, we're sorting out bands to play Giracle, if my wife looks at me, Alyssa, and if she sees that I'm kind of starting to tear up a bit or something, she goes, well, okay, I think we better put them on the short list, you know, or something. And that's, you know, so that's my gauge almost, you know, a bit, you know. I love it, giving everyone a go, but, you know, it's kind of got to do that. Then I know that, you know, it's going to do that to someone else, you know.
Oh, it's fantastic. I'm really honoured to be coming, and we can't wait. I've heard loads of really good things about Giracle. I can't wait to see the festival site. I can't wait to play there. It's going to be great fun.
Yeah. Do you like barbecue?
Yeah, I do. I do love barbecue.
Well, we have a barbecue comp attached to it. We're endorsed by the Australasian Barbecue Alliance. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a serious barbecue comp. It's like that American Pit Masters. You know, we'll have about 50 teams competing. So we'll make sure we get you and Derek some barbecue.
Brilliant. Wait. So I'm looking forward to playing with Ash and Felicia as well. When we came over last year, we had such a good time, and I think, mind you, I think with the four of us, we could eat you out of house and home.
Well, it's great. I remember the first time I worked with Felicia, she was playing with Chris Wilson, you know, for us for our Batonga Blues Festival, which is our community one here, and we all just went, whoa, you know, because I hadn't heard of her before, and wow, what a singer, what a talented player, and what a lovely lady.
Yeah, she's a lovely lady as well, and you know, brilliant.
Well, thanks so much. I know you've got jet lag. Where have you been? Like, you've been travelling already?
About 10 years ago, I started up this company called Rock and Roll Holidays. So we just go and do rock and roll things, and sometimes it could just be me touring. In fact, last year when we came to Australia, we brought like 25 people with us from England, and we just did that. But this last trip we did, we just got 5 Ford Mustangs, and we drove from Seattle to San Diego, all down the west coast, and I did a few gigs on the way down, and got arrested by the police for doing 99 in the Mustang.
Oh wow, that sounds unreal. I'd love. Oh, gee, I'll be in one of those one time. That sounds like a great.
You should come. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, I really like that concept. That's yeah, we've got a friend here, Brian Lazite. He does ones where he takes a group of people, say, to Memphis or to New Orleans, you know, and it's kind of I think it's more of a foodie kind of thing because he's a pretty popular chef here. So, and that looks pretty cool too. But no, thanks so much, Ben, for having a chat.
Great.
I know
Well, thanks, Bruce. It's great to speak to you.
Yeah, no worries, and we'll be seeing you real soon.
Brilliant. I can't wait. Yeah, take care. Cheers. Bye.
Excellent. Thank you. That's
Oh, no, thank you. Yeah, that was great fun.
That's doozy. Yeah, I'm starting to get a bit more relaxed doing these. It's you know.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to being behind the camera, you know, and saying to someone, oh, "Can you get closer to that microphone?" Or you know,
Yeah.
or pushing up a fader or something, but not actually talking and trying to be, you know, like make sense. And
I think you're very natural at it. It's great. Brilliant. Yeah.
Well, I love the music, so it's starting to get a bit easier. You know, if I was interviewing, not that I hate punk music, but it's not really on my radar, I'd find that harder.
Yeah.
No worries. Well, thanks heaps, hey, and when we can't wait to catch up with you and Derek and everyone when you get here, and we'll have a great time.
Brilliant. Yeah, okay, can't wait. That'll be great.
No worries.
Cheers, Bruce. Great to speak to you. Yeah. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
How good was that, hey? Having a good old chat with Ben. What a career, hey? And I really like, he's got this business that's called Rock and Roll Tours, which I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to go at that one time. Sounds really cool. Anyway, next video is Mal Eastic. Mal Eastic is probably one of our premier blues guitarists. He's played with everyone from Jimmy Barnes, you name it. He's played with all the international artists generally that come through the country. And anyway, but look, in the meantime, you need to, look at that, register and share this video and comment to be in the running for one of 4 buddy tickets to Girical next year, plus a t-shirt, you know, we're giving away 4 t-shirts and 4 beer coolers. So get onto that one and stay tuned. See you all soon.